Morning, folks, and thank you very much for joining us on, a much improved weather day here in Thailand. And as the title suggests, we are talking about the mopping up that we've had to do here, because it certainly has been very, very wet in different parts of Thailand, not everywhere in Thailand. And places like Hua Hin, Koh Samui, Koh Tao, Koh Phangan, they still have quite dry weather this time of the year. They get their worst wet weather a bit later in the year, usually around November, December. But otherwise, it's been fairly wet and extremely wet, involving big floods and rains. Landslides, had more landslides this year than I can remember for quite a long time. Now, we've got a couple of questions I'm going to get started with, but the focus of today's program is the mop up. I think maybe mop up is some sort of Australian term. I don't know. Maybe it gives some people the impression that I'm oversimplifying or underrating what is of extremely bad flooding in some areas of the country, and I'm not doing that. Good morning. Not doing that at all. And by the way, I'm here at Chipfe Lele, which is a cafe about 150 metres away from where I live. And the owner's Pla, who's sitting over there, and her brother's just arrived. And we've also, there we are, we've got Bew, the cat. So the whole gang's here this morning at Chipfe Lele. Flooding is the main topic, and I do want to sort of whip around the country, perhaps talk about some of the initiatives, including an amazing initiative by an organisation that I really rate, called iCare, and we'll get into what they've been doing up in northern Thailand. And it's not only a time when the government rolls up its sleeves, but there are a lot of NGOs, some who people would never know the name of, who do some great work, unsolicited and unpublicised, but we will be talking about some of their work this morning. A couple of questions came in very early, which I'd like to address. This one from VK Travelog, and this is just a general Thai question. I have one question. In a few years, I would like to move there. Any recommendations on how to rent a place and not get ripped off? Very good question. And a lot of people do get sucked into some of the problems with rentals here in Thailand. Now, I always recommend generally, unless you've got your own specific circumstances, that it's better to rent here in Thailand than buy. Now, at some stage, you may decide to live here. You've sort of sussed out the country and the way things work, and you'd like to live here, and then you'd like to look at the opportunity of having some more permanent ownership over a property. Now, you can't buy land as a foreigner, except in special circumstances. So I've always thought that rental is your best bet. That's just my opinion. Some people disagree with me, and that's fine. But two things about rentals. Firstly is I wouldn't rent before you come to the country. I certainly would never rent without actually eyeballing the property and having a look and seeing the area that you're living in. Don't believe the pictures on the internet. I think we've all been sucked into that. Oh, that looks like a big room. And you get there and you can't even spin yourself around. So, that's the first thing. Come to Thailand, decide the area you want to live, because once you're renting, you're going to be stuck there for, 6-12 months, unless you've got an out clause on your lease. Once you've decided where you want to live, then it's a matter of looking around. Now, when it comes to actually finding the property, of course you can go online to the different real estate property sites, and only go to the ones that are well known, that are prominent, that are big, that have got specific property agents, that have a good reputation. There are hundreds and hundreds of rentals you'd find on Facebook. Don't go near them with a barge pole. I'm sorry for the people that use Facebook to advertise their rental properties, but there are so many scams on Facebook. It's just not a place where you should be doing your commercial activities, buying a property, let alone renting one. So be very careful there. The other thing that I'd recommend is, once maybe you've found something online, just drive around the area and see if there are some signs up, or if it's a condo, there might be a body corporate rental in the bottom floor that you can actually basically rent directly from the renters. The owners, sorry, to rent directly from the owners. And if you want to look for like a villa or something, just drive around the community and you'll see signs on places that are for rent. That is, and it has been for me, the best way to find a good deal. But also, before you sign anything, get to know the people. Just, to turn on your brain and just decide if these are the sort of people that you want to be doing business with. So, it's not quite as easy as just finding something in the classifieds and ringing up and doing a viewing and then signing a contract. Also be aware that in many cases, if you pay a deposit, there is a chance that you may not get the deposit back. It seems to be a thing I read a lot in Thailand, that the amount of bond you put up, and they're only allowed to ask for 2 months up front, is somehow seen as like a donation to them. But be very careful about that. If you want to make sure you do get your bond back, take lots of photos, walk around with the owner or the agent before you sign anything, and take lots of photos and make it very clear to them that you are going to try and get the bond back at the end of your rental stay. And of course, while you're there, look after the property, because they are well entitled to use that bond to pay for any damage that you may have done during your time there. So they're my little tips. I'm sure other people will have some ideas as well. And another question before we get into our floods and our cleanup here, and I've got a bit to talk about this specific area. Note that the owners of Chip Fair Lele, this cafe I'm in at the moment, are down at the foreshore at the moment, because we've lost along this beach 2 to 3 metres of the foreshore this week, probably never to return. Still got another 80 metres or so before I need to start wearing floaties in my own home. But we have lost quite a chunk of beach, and I'll show you a picture of that a bit later. But Scott D, good morning, Scott, and good to have you with us. By the way, it's 6 minutes past 9 here, so it is good morning from Phang in Thailand. Scott D, regular viewer, knows Scott and his family well, and I figure Scott's back in Chicago. He's got a question, and this is a good question. All your questions are good, Scott, but this one I think is quite pertinent. Does the fact that there's been a change in the PM, the Prime Minister, in such a short period of time, and protocol challenges with the current PM, will they bring forth challenges for international and political investment? Okay, so, is Thailand currently a good place to invest? Is it a good place to sink your political and commercial capital? The overriding comment would be that Thailand has for such a long time had a Teflon economy. No matter what happens with coups, with floods, with tsunamis, it always seems to bounce back, and people keep coming here as tourists, which is a big proportion of the other country's GDP, or they just keep investing. I mean, I've invested in this country. For me, it's been a good decision. Now, other people have had very bad experiences investing here. I think mostly that comes down to not so much their business acumen, but the fact that they may not have done their homework about the cultural sides of doing business in Thailand and the specifics about what Thais' buying habits are and how they operate. I mean, a successful business in the US doesn't necessarily mean a successful business here in Thailand. Texas Chicken, they've bailed out. There was a hamburger company, Carl's, I think. They've bailed out over the past couple of years, realising that even though they might have great fast foods and great systems and great franchises in their home country, it doesn't necessarily translate to every other country in the world, including Thailand. So no more Texas Chicken. Mind you, I didn't really like Texas Chicken. Did you ever try it? I thought it was very greasy. Anyway, to Scott's question. So yes, the other thing is the worst problem with the concept of investing in Thailand at the moment is this. And this is the chart for a whole year. Is it a whole year? Yes. So this chart goes back to September 2023. And in May this year, we had the highest point of the US dollar over the past 12 months. It got up to some 37.2 Thai baht to the US dollar. Now, today, it's down to 32.9. We were worried just a week ago that it might get to below 34 baht to the US dollar, but now it's below 33, and it doesn't show any signs of stopping. I mean, since May, this has been some 15% drop in the value of the US dollar versus the Thai baht. Now, this week, the Fed, the federal bank in the United States, it lowered its interest rates, cut its interest rates by 0.5%, 50 basis points, and that has done nothing to stem this particular flow of the Thai baht increasing its value against the US dollar. Now, we should also check the Thai baht against other currencies, and I'll let you do that at home. I mean, obviously, the US dollar is the sort of the de facto world currency, although that seems to be changing quite quickly. But at the moment, this is a disincentive for not only tourists from the United States, but if you check the Thai baht against other currencies, the Thai baht is gaining in value. And this is probably the biggest problem for investors or tourists at the moment when it comes to investing in Thailand. So I'd be interested to get your thoughts, Scott, and also other viewers' comments on that. Plenty of other comments I will get to in a moment, but let's have a talk about some of the mopping up here in Thailand. And I am so glad to report that we don't necessarily have sunshine this morning, but we do have much clearer skies. The wind is half what it was over the past week. I mean, it's just been blustery, around 25 to 30 knots every single day. There just hasn't been any let up at all. But today it's down to about 15 knots. The waves are half the size, even though we've lost a chunk of our foreshore. And we don't have any rain at the moment, although we will get some rain bands coming through, but they're going to be fewer, and it's going to be lighter rain. And that's all good. And let's hope that situation is happening around Thailand. It's not up in parts of the northeast and north, and we'll get to those in a moment as well. But I mentioned just a moment ago that there are some great NGOs and volunteer organisations doing work around Thailand at this time as we mop up and clean up. Okay, so excuse me, I've just got one of my customers messaging me saying that they're on the way. All good. We will be there when you arrive. So I still got to run the business. It's just the way it is. So yes, got to look after the customers first. So iCare have been doing great work, not only this time, but for many decades. And it was a family, not so much business, but a family commitment that's being handed down to Michael Andreasen. I think I've got his name right. Let's just, I'll play some audio from Michael about what they've been doing up in the north of Thailand. Now, the way I've got things sort of set up here, I should have maybe edited a video and just shown you the video. But I've got some great photos and I've got a bit of audio from Michael. So I'll play that audio first and I'll step out of the camera so that you can listen to the audio. God, let's hope all this works. So I go out of that and I go into this. Oh, here we go, Tim. This is either going to work well or you're going to look completely stupid. So here we go. Let's see if this works.
About 100,000 people who have been made homeless or who have been severely impacted. What that breaks down to is a weekly delivery of food supplies. We also put in a water system in 5 villages in Mae Hong Son, where they lost their water source when they had landslides. The situation in Chiang Rai and Chiang Mai is quite bad, with about 50,000 people there still impacted. They've lost everything in their homes. There's no known date when they'll be able to go back. There's anywhere from 2 feet to 2 meters of mud blocking access to their home and in their home as well. Besides the food deliveries, besides the freshly cooked meals, which we've given, which is more than 1,000 meals to date, iCare has hired a fleet of heavy machinery to speed up the process of providing people access to their homes. That means we've had to dig out the mud and have a fleet of dump trucks moving that so that people can start the slow process of restoration and getting to their house, having access to the house they can start to clean and get out of tents and temporary shelters and move back to their house. That's where we're at today, and we will continue throughout the rest of this flooding season.
Okay, hope you enjoyed seeing my messenger feed. Anyway, that was the words there from Michael Andreasen about the work of iCare up in the far north of Thailand over the past week. Let's just go to some photos so you can sort of get some perspective of what he was talking about. And these pictures are in no particular order. So we'll just go through these. And we can just see some of the people that they've been helping. This is up in Mae Hong Son, I think, right up in the north of Thailand, up near the Myanmar and Lao border. So we are seeing some of the devastation, some of the houses obviously quite simply built and very open to things like landslides. So as I said, these photos in no particular order sent to me by Sean Stenning. Sean from, of course, the charity organisation Living Waters, and they have been funding iCare and helping them, these iCare people, and Michael and his team get out and about, do an amazing job up there in northern Thailand, where some of the focus has just been getting the mud out of people's houses. I mean, these landslides and floods, as you can see, they carry a lot of mud and dirt, and well, somebody's got to remove it from the houses, and you need a lot more than just a spade. That mattress has probably seen its best days, and you can see that you need special four-wheel drive type gear to get in and around some of these very impenetrable areas. But you can imagine the huge amounts of support that is needed to help some of these families who have lost, in some cases, absolutely everything. Now, some they'll be able to recover, they'll be able to clean up, but just on a daily basis, they still need water, they still need food, they need some way of getting from one day to the next. And so they're very grateful for the support of organisations like iCare. Obviously bringing in the heavy machinery and sometimes needed so that they can get some of the things done. Well, I've got a bit of video here. This is some of the video tracking into some of these areas that have just been completely flooded over recent weeks. And northern Thailand has suffered more than other parts of Thailand in this particular bout of floods. And it's not so much just Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai, the cities, which might be better built to be able to cope with the floods. But once you get sort of out of the main areas, it does get very, very difficult to try and control the floods, especially if you live below a set of mountains, for example. So there you go, just some video there of some of the flooding. Now let's just see. Probably get people going, oh, we didn't hear what he said. So we'll get to some of your comments about that in just a moment. Just some other perspectives on the floods. I found this one quite interesting. Following destructive floods in Chiang Rai, Singer RSA, I don't know who that is, I think that's the beverage company, in collaboration with the Chiang Rai Technical College, provided free repair services for electronic devices and motorbikes. This has come from Cowside English's Facebook page. And the deputy director at the Chiang Rai Technical College stated the students from various engineering fields participated, focusing on repairing flood-damaged motorcycles and electrical systems. And temporary contact centre for free repair services has been established at the Office of Elementary Education Vocational 1 in Chiang Rai. So the students at work are putting their education to very, very good work there. So it's not just the houses that have been, flooded and full of mud. It's the washing machine and the television and the motorbike and the car that have also been inundated with both water and mud. So being able to repair those, some things obviously are not repairable, but the ones that are, here are some students putting their skills at really good work. Great for the students. Some creative thinking. There's probably not so much deadlines, but a bit of pressure on them to get to the next job as soon as they can. These are all good life experiences for them to have. Let's just see some of these other photos. So that motorbike, probably buried up to its seat in mud, needs some special work. Washing machines, refrigerators. So these students are hard at work. And congratulations to them. Where are they from again, as I just scroll back? The Chiang Rai Technical College. So congratulations to everybody who was involved in that particular initiative. Okay, so what's the current situation? Well, there's a lot of mopping up going on around Thailand. This is sort of the latest news. And Thai PBS World says Tropical Storm Sulik hits Nakhon Phanom. And the story reads that Tropical Storm Sulik didn't have a name until later this week. It was, 98W or something? But it's hit Thailand's northeastern province of Nakhon Phanom and Mukdahan this morning. This is yesterday morning, as it weakened into a tropical depression. And the weather system brings with it heavy to very heavy rain. And it will now move gradually across other northeastern provinces, including Buang Kan, which has already been hit quite badly, Sakon Nakhon, Kalasin, Roy Et, Surin, Buriram, Maha Sarakam and Konkan. Then it will reach the central region before further weakening into a low-pressure cell. Other provinces to be affected by the weather system include Nan, Lamphun, Chiang Mai, Lampang, Uttradit, Sukhothai and Bangkok. So not only the north, but also parts of the central and the capital, which is sort of termed as central Thailand, being affected. Let's just check the weather systems today, and we can see up in the northeast, it's passed through there, and the centre of the storm at the moment is over, well, not quite northern Thailand, but central to North Thailand. Areas like Pitsanulok and Lampang is where the storm is at this very moment. Down in the south, we can see the rains have eased off quite a lot, but the central coast there of Vietnam still suffering a lot of rain. And yes, just going down to the south, we don't have any of those yellow, orange or red areas directly around Phuket, Krabi. But the other side of the Isthmus of Kra, the Malay Peninsula, we've got Samui and places like Hua Hin, and they really haven't had any substantial rain over the past couple of weeks, while the rest of Thailand has been deluged. So that's called a coffee machine, by the way. And I'm here at, by the way, Pla gave me this Chinese tea. Lovely. So what happened here on the beach, I thought I might just pass this on to you. This is a stretch of beach right along the Andaman coast. We're about 20 minutes drive north of Phuket, and the beach we're on, except for that little break of water that separates the mainland of Thailand to Phuket, the beach stretches all the way from sort of Mai Khao in Phuket and about 34 kilometres. It's the longest stretch of continuous beach in Thailand. So I'm about 80 metres from the foreshore, looking out at the Andaman Sea, which is a lot calmer today than it has been. But during the week, we've had these fairly big waves and a lot of wind just continually bashing the beach and the coastline. So the beach has never been particularly wide here, but now it's around about 2 to 3 metres wider. And this is the situation we've got. So we've got these concrete pipes, you can see. They've been there under the sand, protecting what's on the right, which is the actual foreshore, which has got quite a lot of greenery, these very tall she oaks. And a situation... Can I turn that off? I think I've got the iPad on. So a situation where we've now got a much bigger beach and the trash that's on it, because we've lost around about 2 or 3 metres of the actual foreshore. And these concrete pipes which have been thrown there to help sort of bolster the foreshore, they've been exposed, and you can see how much we've never seen those before, and now we can see them quite clearly. So some 2 or 3 metres of additional beach, but at the cost of losing some of the actual, how do I go back to that? There we go. Some of the foreshore area. So we haven't been immune to this ravaging storm. And it's not so much that it, in this area anyway, that it was that stronger winds. I mean, it was around 25 to 30 knots. Back in my sailing days, that'd be a good sailing day. But it's just been continuous. Like for a solid week, we've had this continuous wind, and then, of course, added to the waves and the swell that have developed in the Indian Ocean, washing into the Andaman Sea and onto our shores. So there we go. Now, I've got a quick note here from VK Travelog. Tim, what can we do to help? I'm willing to skip my Krabi trip to help the people. No need, VK. Look, apart from the NGOs, apart from the local ties and the officials, Thailand has also got an excellent network of volunteer organisations, the rescue foundations. I'm trying to think of the main one in Phuket, that I've sort of contributed money to in the past. They've helped me from time to time. I mean, they do everything from pulling a snake out of your washing machine to, it could be anything, helping you at a car accident, or helping people in situations of floods. So they're the rescue volunteers that will arrive. Usually they're the first people on site when anything bad happens in Thailand, and it's a great network. Not really sure if it's coordinated by the government or if they're officially registered, but they do outstanding work. So congratulations to all those rescue volunteers. So there's not really any need. Things are under control, and the flooding and the landslides have been, as I've mentioned before, very localised. It's not as if all of Thailand is completely underwater at the moment. I mean, most of the main commercial areas have been operational, albeit with a bit of rain to accompany them. So let's just go back through some of your comments now. That's sort of the main lot of information I needed to get to you. And I just want to make sure I haven't missed any super chats, because I want to make sure I acknowledge those. All right, good morning, Tim. No rain here in Minnesota. That's from John. Great, good to hear, John. Now I've got to click up there. Question, how's the weather down there? As I speak, Fun-Sized Media. The sun is almost out. I can almost see shadows. And it is much, much, much better than it has been. Glad to report. Ken RQ's in Hua Hin. Magnitude 10. Good morning from Bangkok, where it's 27 and cloudy. Rod R. Hi, Tim. Everyone from Queensland. Hi, everyone from Queensland. We had our first storm for the season last night. Morning from Singapore, says Wernaby. This is the amazing thing about a program like this, is an idiot like me can get on and speak to and join together all these people from around the world. It's amazing. How's the dams doing? Are they full yet, says Rob Gray. Haven't checked. There's a dam for this particular town that's just south of Tai Muang, and I haven't driven past it over the past week. I haven't been out much over the past week because just been so inclement. Problem I have on my property is I've got a gate on a rail, and the gate sort of locks into to the post on one side, but once you start pulling the gate away from the post, it's sort of hanging there in the breeze, and the wind's been so strong it sort of comes out of the lock on the post, and it wants to pull off the rails. It's been a bit of a trauma getting out of the house. I'm on the southeast Queensland coast, no storms here, good to hear. And morning all from Samui. Woohoo, says VK Travelog. Okay. Discovering Thailand. Hello from Chiang Mai. Very little rain in the last 2 weeks in the city and surrounding. Sunny, 30 degrees every day. There you go, you see. But there have been parts of Chiang Mai which have had extraordinarily bad flooding. So it just depends where you are. It depends where the rain decides to fall. And then what's downstream of those areas. They're the ones that really suffer. But good to hear that in the case of discovering Thailand, there wasn't too much rain in the city of Chiang Mai. Reg Dunlop asks the question, Fazwaz? That's in relation to the real estate question. Yes, I mean, Fazwaz have been around for a long time. They've got plenty of rental properties on their website. So it's a good place to do some research to see what's around. Also, don't feel inclined to pay the price that's being asked. Make sure you do some dealing. Now, don't you do that with the owner. Get the real estate the property manager, the representative from Fazwaz or another real estate company to do the haggling for you, and they'll usually be able to give you a fairly honest, hopefully they can, appraisal of what you can really get the property for. But don't just think the only place to find a rental property in Thailand is from a website. I have always found my the best deals have come from just driving around, getting into a bit of a network, talking to friends, asking people at the local cafes and restaurants, hey, do you know somebody with a property? Guarantee they will know somebody with a property for rental. Interesting, a Facebook marketplace is a good place to find rentals in the Philippines. But as you say, drive around. A Wanderlust Asia, yeah, look, Facebook marketplace, I had a few scam problems in that. Maybe it's a bit safer for going around and finding a rental. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to be in somebody's home and paying them for the pleasure. So I don't suppose it's quite the same as sending somebody the money and hoping they're going to send you a pair of shoes or whatever. Most on Facebook here is a scam. That's what I've found, Stephen Landstall. Buyer beware, caveat emptor, be very, very careful. Good advice, I'll take one day. Thank God I don't use Facebook. When renting, first check out how loud your neighbours are. Yeah, just drive around the area, talk to people. Don't just, definitely do not sit at home thumbing through your real estate ads and rent something before you come and have a look at it, before you get a sense of what sort of neighbourhood you're moving into. You might get a surprise. My 6th anniversary married to a Thai, says Nong Wurso. So happy anniversary to you today. What are you doing to celebrate? Frank in the Philippines, have a great show. All time to go and do other things. Farewell. Adios. Sayonara, Frank. Craig the SLP. Hi, Tim. Greetings from cold Melbourne. That's why I'm here. Haven't tuned in for a while. You are now in Phang. Went for an amazing snorkeling trip to the Turtle Island Reserve a while back. Snorkeling trip to the Turtle Island Reserve. I don't know where the Turtle Island Reserve is. Texas chicken and Carl's are crap in the US too. That is an opinion, not necessarily shared by me. Thank you very much. Fun-sized media, hoping for a better rate with my CAD on travel. Bring Steve back, says Philip. Steve's got his 2 YouTube channels that he can use any time he likes. I think he uploaded something last week about his turtles. Steve will be back at some stage on, if not this channel, my new channel, which is coming up in coming weeks. I want to get these 2 new rentals finished and all sorted before I start the new channel. I've done a lot of work preparing for it. It's called Alive and Kicking. Don't bother go looking for it now. It's not there. But when it starts, I mean, the stuff I do now is of daily value, as in I talk about the news of the day. So if you watch it the next day, you're watching old news. The new channel will have things which will have a longer shelf life, will be a bit more sort of worldly and not tying me to just doing daily Thailand news, because YouTube has pigeonholed me as, you know, the old Australian bald guy that does news in Thailand, and I'm finding it difficult to break out of that with anything else. So I think when Steve does come back on the channel, it will be on that new channel, because we'll be able to, I think, reach out to a wider audience. Hillary Hawk in Rawai, beaches washed away and everything is mouldy, I think you mean. Thank goodness it's clear now. Yeah, so I think Rawai down in the south has had a lot of very, very heavy rain. Good morning from Nonthaburi, says Scarface. Thanks, Ken RQ. Had no idea it was so dire up north. Hillary Hawk, it was very, very dire. It still is in many places. And thanks to people like iCare, a lot of people, like, as they mentioned, 50, 100,000 people are being assisted directly by that organisation. Daryl McGee says Gordon Tickle showed some of the devastation on his vlogs. Unbelievable. Haven't caught up with Gordon's stuff lately, but there you go, if you want to check it out. Stephen Landstoll, very good to see expats helping Thai people. Happens more than you think, for sure. Brett Border, question, apologies for the lame question, but is Mu Deng a sensation there as it has here? That pygmy hippo has been big news here. Ah, yes. Speaking about animals and zoos, yes, there's a pygmy hippo that's become a big sensation. And people worried about, oh, well, too many people wanting to see the hippo, and is the hippo going to be okay? The hippo's going to be fine. But it's a pygmy hippo, and it's called Mu Deng. I haven't done anything specifically about it because I've had plenty of other things to talk about during the week. This sort of proposed ETA, and I mean stuff that, you know, the viewers always seem to get always worried about. Werner B, Mount Ararat, which is 5,137 metres, was first mentioned in the Bible in the 7th century BC, where it's referred to as the mountain where Noah's Ark came to rest after the flood. Werner, thank you very, very much for that biblical lesson. Yes, I've read the Old Testament, I've read the New Testament, and I understand the relevance of those books to Western culture. However, I would probably suggest, unless any evidence can be shown to me, that the story of Noah's Ark is apocryphal, interesting, a warning about the problems of floods, but is otherwise fictional. Wernerbeek moves on and says, considering the current floods all over the world, can you imagine what's yet to come? And the floods 700 years BC were not created by pollution, but by natural climate change. I'm not really sure where you're going with all that, Werner, but thank you very, very much. Look, there's been flooding as long as there's been an earth and rain and weather. The flooding isn't necessarily worse this year than other years. Like the worst year we've had in recent times here in Thailand was back in 2011. But again, it is very localised. This year it's been particularly bad up around the Myanmar border and Chiang Rai and northern areas above Chiang Mai. So they have been very, very badly hit. We've got these big rains at the moment moving through northeast and north central Thailand. And so we're going to be reporting that in the next couple of days. And whilst we've had extremely strong winds for here and quite heavy rain, where I live we haven't had any floods as such here in Phang. So it is very localised. The floods 700 BC were not created. I don't think Noah's Ark happened in 700 BC, if that's what you're suggesting. there wasn't a date in the Bible. Who is Steve? Asks Jeff Whitty-Art. Just check the playlist on my channel and you'll see. Daryl McGee, question, how are the floods along the Mekong as the waters head south towards Cambodia? I imagine the delta there will be full this year. Yes, there has been extra water coming down the Mekong as well. Remembering that there are a lot of mountains that flow into the Mekong, people accusing the Chinese of fiddling the dams. I think it's less to do with that. I mean, they've been trying to manage the water flow. But at the end of the day, that water has to come out somewhere, and they've had to release water into the Mekong River, which is making its way along a lot of the northeast Thailand border, which is the Mekong River between Thailand and Laos. And it's causing a lot of flooding, but the flooding tends to be less severe. People have a lot of warning about the flooding because it's coming across the banks. There is a certain level of mitigation and preparedness rather than a sudden storm and water just rushing through your house or through a town. But yes, the waters are coming down the Mekong. Rain shadow effect in Hua Hin, protected from storm by the mountains nearby. That's the same situation with Samui. They do have a different wet season than other parts of Thailand. Brett Border, wow, I asked a lame question just as we rolled out serious flood news. I should retract that question now. No, you shouldn't worry about that. Daryl McGee, thank you very much for your contribution. I really value your support and appreciate your commitment to the program. Hi, Tim, says Daryl. The Thais are so resilient. Unfortunately, some have lost lives and homes. Very sad, and I'm sure people like I care, and people around the area will help those needed. Yeah, look, I think people know the problem areas. Those people have been able to communicate the problems they have. These little machines can be very useful sometimes, and we've got organisations like Living Waters and iCare and other NGOs who roll their sleeves up to help when that help is needed. So Thai Reserve Bank controls currency rate. This is from Ada Jara. I don't know. I don't believe that. And they hate this government. The governor says must be weaker, but Reserve Bank says I'm thinking about it. So the Reserve Bank have one blunt lever to control monetary policy, but at the end of the day, the Thai baht is a floated currency, and it's more to do with the influences of the monetary policies all around the world, including the United States, that have an effect on the way the Thai baht floats. But the Reserve here in Thailand, they have a lever, and they pull it from time to time, but it's a fairly blunt lever at that. A statement in capitals from Glenn Shermer. Reason why you are popular worldwide is you are an example of a laid-back, logical communication. Thank you very much. Am I laid back? I'm much more laid back than I used to be as a youngster. I'd say that. Thailand's been very good for me in that area. I suppose I'm just lucky that I've lived here for 13 years. There are people that have lived here a lot longer than I, but I've been reporting the news pretty much since the day I arrived here, and I've got a fairly deep knowledge of the news cycle and things happening here in Thailand. I've got an opinion from time to time as well. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. Zach, the cafe you are in wins the prize for earliest Christmas decorations with the reindeer on the counter. Oh yes, there are reindeer on the counter. I haven't seen that. They usually have a Christmas tree up right there. It isn't up yet, but I bet it's there next month. They do love their Christmas decorations here. They've got these dolls over here. I won't bother bringing one over, but they're slightly scary looking dolls. But the Thais like their little knickknacks and things. Thank you very much, Jeff P. Building on floodplains and concreting over ex-rice fields, not really a good idea. Sure, there are some bad decisions made from time to time. VK Travel Log, thank you very much for your contribution as well. I think he was telling me earlier that he's from Japan and he found Japanese culture as he was growing up very restrictive and has spent time in the US and enjoys the freedoms that he enjoys there, or that he receives there, and looking to move to another part of Southeast Asia sometime soon. Good luck to you, and thank you very much to you for your contribution. Floods every year, burning crops every year. Notice a pattern? Well, that's certainly true. And when it comes to the landslide in Phuket a few weeks ago, it was clearly the building that was going on the top of the hill. It's clear to me anyway. By removing all that foliage and the trees and the undergrowth, that caused the landslide. There was nothing holding the soil together. So yeah, if they continue, well, I mean, look, the burning's a little bit more complicated. They're not sort of burning rainforests. They're burning sugarcane crops that were sugarcane crops the year before and the year before that, or corn or maize or whatever. So it's not quite the burning crops that's causing the floods every year. There has been flooding every year in Thailand for time immemorial. Kino Shinobi, nearly 400 viewers and only 16 likes. If you could just take a moment to click that like button. There you go. Doesn't hurt. That'd be wonderful. Okay. Water in my rented house in Chiang Rai 3 years ago, so nothing changes, says Jeff P. Jeff Witty Art, I guess the tea isn't Tim's cup of tea. It's very sweet. Like a lot of drinks in Thailand, it for some reason is a tea that's just full of sugar. I just don't like sugar in my tea. Wow, I asked Elaine. Okay, I've done that one. So scrolling down, done Daryl. I think I've got another super chat. So hello to Bill G. Good morning to you. And gee, you know, I can almost say we've got sunshine now. Just about got sunshine. And turning into a beautiful, picturesque day. Bill G, thank you very much for your support, Bill. That's fabulous. Has the government become more stable now since the PM appointment? What can we expect from the government over the next few months or to the end of the year? Okay, look, speaking about that, and a similar question to Scott G's a bit earlier, we've had a change of Prime Minister, and it looks like the Thai media are pointing in one particular direction as to how that happened, and they're pointing at a 79-year-old general who was one of the three generals who planned and undertook the coup back in 2014, person who was a deputy prime minister until recently here in Thailand. Looks like that person may have, trying to use my words very carefully here, been behind or supported or maybe even made the phone call that brought down the Prime Minister, forgot his name already, Srettha Thavisin. Now, the continuity of the government has continued all the way through this. The public service has continued all the way through this. The coalition has had a little bit of a change. There's been a few MPs drop out. There's been some MPs from the Democrats that have joined the coalition. But there's only been 5 changes to the ministry. So there has been a strong continuation or continuity to the Thai government. So although there has been a change at the top and people have their own opinions about the Shinawatra family or Paetongtarn Shinawatra, who is obviously lacking in experience, but she has a lot of support, and she's got a father who's obviously done the job before a number of times and has a few contacts as well. So I think we've got quite strong governance here in Thailand, and there has been a continuity, as I say, really since 2023, and they eventually cobbled together this coalition government. So I think we are now going through, now that this has been resolved, I think we're going to go through a period of stability And at the same time, the floods will be cleaned up, the weather will start improving as we approach the high season, the tourists will be coming, people will be having more customers and making more banana pancakes. So I think we're sort of going to go through a period of stability and consolidation, and I sort of do get the feeling that there's a strong sense of the government just wanting to just calm things down and move forward. The Move Forward Party, now the People's Party, is still in opposition. We've seen Pita Limjaroenrat, who was the charismatic 42-year-old leader of the Move Forward Party, who did so well at the last election. He's pretty much stepping back, and I think he's going to study in the US for a few years. So I think he's taken a lot of heat out of his stepping back, and the People's Party having a lower profile is taking a lot of heat out of the political situation here in Thailand. Having said that, as far as foreigners and expats are concerned, I think we will be seeing some changes to the whole visa system here in Thailand. My gut feeling is that it's going to make it easier for people to stay here. I don't know, I don't have the details, but that's my gut feeling. We've already got this new DTV, which is, I think, going to become very popular, making it much easier for digital nomads to come and stay here. People can stay here for 180-day chunks for a total of 5 years. I think it costs 10,000 baht for the visa. That's going to be very, very popular. And of course, they've increased the visa exemption from 30 to 60 days for 93 countries, extendable by another 30 days. Now, I don't think the Immigration Department are going to let people abuse that, but at the same time, people can now come for a very easy 90 days in Thailand without a visa. They've also got the ETA. They're going to be introducing the electronic travel authorization, something we're starting to see in a lot of countries around the world, people moaning about it and complaining. I see it as a great opportunity where you can go on the phone, put your passport details and maybe your flight arrival details or something. They give you a QR code, and when you arrive, you either just show that QR code as you go through immigration, or they might even have automated gates. They will still have traditional immigration booths where people who don't have access to a mobile phone or haven't generated a QR code, for whatever reason, I'm sure they'll still have those traditional booths as well. So there are things for foreigners that the government is going to be doing in the future. Also, the same-sex marriage, the Marriage Equality Act, that will come into force later this year or early next year, once it's rubber stamped by His Majesty the King. And that will also give foreigners who are same-sex the opportunity to marry Thais. And that's going to be a whole lot of questions that we're going to have to ask about what sort of opportunities and situations that either opens for them, or what. Yeah, it's just going to be quite interesting. So the people of opposite sex attraction who have been married over the years, that they've had various advantages and opportunities. So that is now going to be shown to same-sex couples. That's also going to be an interesting dynamic for foreigners coming to Thailand and falling in love. So, there's quite a few things coming up, but politically that will have an effect on foreigners. But my gut feeling, God, I've been waffling on for 5 minutes about this, is that we're going to be going through a period of consolidation and stability in regard to the government. Now, there are people out there who would just love another coup, so they can go, "Oh, I told you so, Thailand always has these coups." As I've said often enough over the past couple of years, I think there is a lot smaller appetite for coups here in Thailand than there was in the past. And the current army are just a different unit, and they're also being dragged kicking and screaming into the 21st century. And you've got these people like Prayut and Prawit, the three generals. Can't remember the other one off the top of my head, but they're now into their late 70s, and their days leading coups and stirring up trouble in their country is past them. And so we've got younger, more educated people heading up the Thai army now. I just don't think we're going to see anything like the coup culture that Thailand's had in the past. That is just my opinion. And if a coup happens tomorrow, you can turn around and tell me I'm an idiot. Well, people tell me I'm an idiot anyway. Okay, time to sort of wind this up. I'll just get to some more of your comments. I love the idea of an ETA, says Daryl McGee. I think that's what we're going to be seeing more of, whether we like it or not. I mean, around the world, there is this movement towards far-right governance in some countries, or a growing popularity of far-right parties. And a lot of their platforms involve illegal immigration, or immigration generally in some cases. They just don't want people who aren't from their country coming to their country. I get it, and you're entitled to your opinion. So when you've got governments looking at things like vetting people coming into their countries, greater border controls, and a pressure on them to do something about immigration into their countries, we will be seeing more of these ETAs and restrictions, making it just a little bit more difficult. At the same time, a place like Thailand relies so much on its tourists. I can't see them winding things back, but I do think they're going to be crossing the T's and dotting the I's, checking passports, making sure people don't abuse the visa privileges. I think we're going to be seeing more of that in the future. Teddy Bear has a comment, going to spend a few weeks, October, travelling in Nakhon Phanom and Mekong area, Sakon Nakhon and Udon Thani. I'm sure it's going to be drier during that time. This is, from sort of now to November, the typhoon season, and once we get these typhoons coming across the South China Sea, eventually, I mean, they obviously impact places like Vietnam most severely, and then they start waning, but they still drop lots of rain over Laos and the northern parts of Thailand. And if it's a big tropical cyclone, it drags in water off the Indian Ocean across the southern continent and the Southeast Asian continent. It's not quite a continent, but the Southeast Asian landmass, and Thailand is sort of there in the middle and does get very wet. My Thai wife calls me an idiot. Oh, you too. Your gut instinct and wish of course coincide, but Thai-ness means lots of surprises for no reason. Once things affect Thai pockets, then coups happen, says Chris Q. G'day from our caravan in the middle of nowhere in Western Australia. Thank goodness for Starlink. We can stay in contact with the WWW and your program. That's from Sharon Weems. I've got quite a few friends, some of them not digital nomads, what do they call them? Grey nomads. They get into their caravan or their camper van. What do they call them in America? Winnebagos. And off they go. And Australia's got a great network of camping sites and places you can stop on the sides of the roads. In many cases, you can plug into water and electricity. And things like Starlink have revolutionised the opportunity for people in the middle of nowhere to be able to tap into this Starlink satellite Wi-Fi. It's not, I don't think, overly expensive, especially if you only sort of use it when you are travelling. But something I'll certainly look at. What was the project I was looking at? I think I was even looking at it for my properties, having a network around the 5 property. Anyway, I haven't done it. Yeah, so well done, Sharon. Thank you very much. I sort of just meandered off there for a moment. Hi, Tim. Do you think they'll include the proposed 300 baht entry fee as part of the process in applying for the ETA? The 300 baht tourism tax and the ETA are two totally different things. One will be administered by like the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the ETA, and the other one, the 300 baht entry fee, that's more of a AOT, immigration. I mean, you're just talking about different departments. I don't think they may introduce an entry fee of 300 baht around the same time as they introduce the electronic travel authorization, and people will sort of link the two, but one isn't paying for the other. They've said already that the ETA will be free. The tourism, arrival, tax, levy, whatever you want to call it, is a totally different thing. And they've still got problems deciding how they're going to collect the money. Now, you already pay a 6 or 7, I think it's 700 baht departure tax every time you leave Thailand. That's already in the airfare price. I would have thought the easiest thing to do would just be to add another 300 baht on that and just make it a clear 1,000 baht departure tax. Job done. But I'm not the one running the system, so we'll just have to wait and see. At the moment, we don't have a tourist tax of 300 baht, this new one they're talking about, and we don't yet have the ETA. People sending me questions saying, oh, what's the link for the ETA? I'll have to get an ETA before. You know, you don't need an ETA before you come at the moment. It hasn't been introduced yet. I can assure you I will tell you when it is. It'll probably be later this year or at the start of next year. So just calm down when it comes to ETAs. And as I've said, the government at this stage have said the ETA will be free. I can only pass that on. You mightn't want to believe me or believe the government, but that at least is what they've said. Okay, 3 more comments, then it's time to go. Comment from Colin. I've read that there are some Thais in northern Thailand that burn forests to make it easier to find mushrooms that they're searching for. True or not, I don't know. I think there are. Some of these fires that are started up in northern Thailand are deliberately lit, and some of those people that are lighting them may have lit them in goodwill just to clear a small area, and maybe some of them get out of control. I don't know, but yes, some of them are deliberately lit by people who are foraging for things like mushrooms. Question, do all the religions jump on the Christmas bandwagon? Do all other religions? Well, no. In Thailand, they seem to celebrate everything. Chinese New Year, Ramadan, Christmas, any excuse for a celebration, they're into it. Halloween. So I don't know. I mean, Muslims, for example, don't necessarily celebrate Christmas. Christmas in Thailand is a thing, certainly in the commercial areas. You'll see plenty of Christmas decorations. Much better decorations, I might add, than just about anywhere I've seen in the West. Okay, been waiting to jump in the surf for a week here at Patong Beach without washing away. This is from Matthew Stennett. Matthew, if you want surf, I would be jumping in the surf at Patong. If you want surf, head down to Cottage Beach. That's about the best surf you're going to get in Phuket. Or if you want just a really nice beach with some surf as well, head a bit further south to Nai Han Beach. Mornington Peninsula is windy, says Big W. Mornington Peninsula is my birthplace, specifically in Mornington, and a very, very pretty part of the world. Let's see if we got one more recent one. Somebody put a question in front of their question. How's the new Western... Here we go. Bill G. How is the new Western-style restaurant in your town that you mentioned in the past? Oh, okay. Finishing locally. It's called Chef Steak. It's got a English... I don't think it's got a Thai name. It's called Chef Steak. They do steaks, not sort of what you're going to find in a pub in Sydney, but chicken steaks, fish and chips, pork steaks. Don't think there were any beef steaks there. And they're served with French fries and a bit of salad with mayonnaise drizzled over the top. Please, no mayonnaise. Mayonnaise, may. They do some pastas. They do some pizzas. Had a pizza on the opening night. Room for improvement. I sort of like my pizzas done a certain way. They seem to love, the locals here, love very, very cheesy pizzas and almost a sort of a sweet cheese taste. Not to my liking. For pizzas, what's it called? It's called Little Italy up in Khao Lak. Once a week, we'll jump in the car and we'll go up to Little Italy. Sometimes a pizza, sometimes some pasta, but excellent Italian food. Little Italy in Khao Lak. I look forward to my freebie. That's about it. So we've covered the flooding. We do thank and acknowledge iCare for the great work they've done, and congratulations to the family of Michael Andreasen, all his supporters and volunteers that do that great work through the auspices of Living Waters Phuket under the chairmanship of Sean Stenning. So congratulations to all those people. There are lots of other rescue volunteers that do amazing work. Congratulations to the foreigners and the expats who have volunteered to help some of these communities in need. We are aware that some people have lost everything. Particularly the most devastating thing seems to be these mudslides and muddy floods which just get into the homes, get into everything, destroy the electronics, destroy everything, and pretty hard to recover from that. So, and of course with all the mud they can cause big problems to the foundations and the building of the house as well. So for those people that have helped and contributed, thank you so much. But we will keep you up to date with any more news about the floods, because even though it may not be affecting you directly as you dangle your legs under a bar in Soi Bukhao in Pattaya, there are quite a few people here in Thailand suffering, and we want to acknowledge what's happening to those people and the people that are caring for them, looking after them and helping them at this time. Thanks for dropping in today, for joining me for the past hour or so. I really appreciate all the questions. Winnebago is a brand, RV or recreational vehicle. Douglas R., thank you very much. I always used to call them Winnebagos. I stayed in one down in the deep south of America back in 1991. There was 3 or 4 of us. I can't remember. Must have been a good time. Thanks for joining us. I'll be back on Monday with the daily show. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, well, come on. Subscribe. It takes you half a second. I don't send you boring emails. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, but that will do more than anything to help the channel. Back on Monday with the regular daily 10 to 15 minute TNT. Have a fabulous weekend. I've got a customer to meet. We'll see you then.